Rarin. I actually took some inspiration from a video you and I recorded recently. What's the Mechcthulhu? What is the thing? Mechcthune?
Mechcthune, yeah.
Yeah. You showed me that you have this like these like alternate win cons in Hearthstone. So today I thought I would show you some alternate win cons in Yu-Gi-Oh. What do you think about that?
Isn't the whole game alternate win cons? What do you mean?
What do you mean? No, so I'm only going to show you cards that specifically say on the text, blah, 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 do thing, you win the duel. So, like, if you do whatever the thing is, similar to, like, Mechcthulhu, where it says, like, you win the game if you do whatever, you know, condition. Yes, obviously in Yu-Gi-Oh, we can win the game through a million different ways, but I thought this is fun because we do have our own set of cards like this. And your goal is to figure out if you thought any of these were actually viable. We're not going to go with banned necessarily, because I actually don't think any of these cards were banned. So we're going to go with viable in terms of win condition for this one. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, let's start off with the class. I'm going to start off easy for you because you know this one. We're going to start with this one.
Okay, let's see. That puts pressure. You know what's crazy, by the way, is when I made the video for Mechcthulhu, I literally called it Yu-Gi-Oh's Hearthstone's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Did you really? That's hilarious. This will be fun then. So, like, this will be fun.
It lines up perfect. Okay. All right. Exodia, the Forbidden One. When you have the right leg. Okay, I'm just gonna say right leg, left leg, right arm, left arm.
That's fine.
In addition to the, sorry, my cat is literally attacking. Leave me alone. When you have the right leg, left leg, right arm, and left arm of the Forbidden One, in addition to this card in your hand, you win the duel. This card was played, not banned.
Was it played? So you obviously know it from Legacy of the Duelist, but do you know it in actual Yu-Gi-Oh?
Someone said to me that in a tournament somewhat recently, maybe it was you, this card was played and it did rather well. I can't remember what the exact specifics was.
I said it was played in a tournament recently. About it doing well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but...
Was the original question, it was good, like it was just played or it was not played, right?
I want you to determine if it was like actually a viable deck that was like something that was not just one person out of 2,000 playing it at a tournament. Like I'm talking about a tier 1/tier 2 strategy. I'm talking about like something you would actually have a reasonable chance of winning in a tournament.
What do you mean? This is the most reasonable thing ever. You just get all 5 cards in your opening hand.
Yeah, it's just easy. You just draw all 5, right? It's a 1 in like 300,000 chance. Yeah, of course. Right?
I mean, listen, just get better. It's a skill difference.
It's a skill difference. Sure. It's a skill difference. Yeah,
but it was played. It was played 100%.
You think it was viable? You think it was viable at any point? I'll also make it easy. Any point in Yu-Gi-Oh, any format, anything.
This is the card. Yes.
You sure? Final answer? Like I can get into it if you're just gonna shotgun it.
Final answer. Just say yes already. My
God. A no ban list or like, how would I put this? What if I told you that if there was a like cross ban list tournament where you could play decks of like their respective eras against one another, that this deck at full power would arguably be like one of the top 5 decks of all time in Yu-Gi-Oh?
I actually don't doubt it. I actually don't doubt it at all. I feel like I believe you. I believe you. Like I actually think that weirdly in Hearthstone, this would be like meta defining if I just have to get all 5 cards in my hand.
Really?
So
why do you say that?
Oh my, because card draw in Hearthstone's not like
that's fair.
Water in a desert for us, you know? Like we have multiple ways of drawing cards.
Sure.
So like if this was neutral, you put it in Druid, it's actually just game over. Like they would get it so quickly that the game would be not a great meta.
But this is Yu-Gi-Oh. This is Yu-Gi-Oh. You have to keep in mind.
You've shown me a lot of ways of drawing cards. I feel like this is possible.
Okay. All right.
I feel like the hoops you got to go through for Exodia are not as bad as other things you're going to show me on this. So if this isn't playable, I'm going to believe like almost everything else isn't.
Sure. Okay. So you are correct. This actually, back when it was first released in Japan, because obviously Japan got the cards before we did, this was literally a solitaire format of whoever went first basically would just always assemble Exodia on their very first turn. Let me blow your mind, okay? Nice. Pot of Greed, 3 copies. Graceful Charity, which is draw 3, discard 2, 3 copies. Every like banned as fuck card that I've shown you that like draws cards was legal at 3 copies. There's also other broken as fuck cards that I've shown you that were legal during this time at 3 copies, and basically made it that whoever went first, as long as they didn't brick, which was super unlikely to do, would win the game. And so it essentially devolved into solitaire Exodia format where there was like nothing better you could be doing. Funny enough, during this time, the way to counteract it was not long afterwards, mill became a very prominent strategy because they ended up hitting like the Exodia pieces to a singular copy. And so if one of the pieces got hit to the graveyard at that time, there was no way to get them back into your hand. So you just had to mill them one piece and the game was over, which is very funny. But even later on, Exodia was actually quite a formidable strategy, although it wasn't like the meta-defining best thing you could absolutely be doing. Someone actually took Exodia one year to the World Championship, as a matter of fact, because based on the meta at that given time, they felt that if they played an Exodia deck that played a high amount of stall cards and draw cards equally, that they could just slow the game out until they just drew Exodia, and they actually picked it as like a meta call. I think they ended up getting in the top 8 of that World Championship in particular. I forget the exact standing. I'm sure the comments will correct me, but actually ended up doing quite well. And recently, Exodia actually has support where you're not trying to assemble all 5 pieces. They do a bunch of other stuff now, but you still can, technically speaking. It just doesn't happen very often, but there was other instances where, Exodia has seen its time in the spotlight in the competitive circuit as of recently, and it's really cool that this alternate win condition, it's legendary throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history, has still seen like its time in the spotlight, even by modern day standards. It's you still see people playing with the Exodia pieces. It's very fun.
So hold on, in the original deck, you were saying that they only read 1 copy of each piece.
No, in the OP like absolute best deck ever like version of Exodia, they would actually run multiple pieces because you would have access to so much draw power and like so many things that you didn't. It depending on like when you look at it, because they would hit cards at certain times during this format. Like you don't really want extra pieces, but the deck was so good you could afford to play extra pieces and it was fine. Then
it's 3 copies too, right? For
3 copies.
Piece?
Yep, 3 copies. Yeah. But then they limited it to 1. It's very fitting in the show as well, like limiting everything to 1. And they've all been limited to 1 copy ever since. They've never like moved from that status. So it's fun. It's cool to see. And you like honestly in the modern interpretations of the deck, you don't want more than 1 copy. Like they're bad. Like you only need them to win the game. You don't want to actually draw them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, all right. That's what I'm saying. The Druid, if this was in the game, would be unstoppable. Also, fun fact for you: the Bazaar, which has done like expansions now, has added their own Exodia to the game.
Have they? Interesting.
Which is, without going into like the nuance of how it interacts, basically there's just 1 big piece and a bunch of small pieces. If you get all the small pieces, you like insta-proc the large piece and you just win the game.
Interesting.
It's not as black and white because of how the game operates, but it is literally like its own Exodia, and you're trying to find every piece of it.
Sure. And I think people like alternate win conditions because it forces you to like create a different style of deck altogether, right? And I feel like, and you're going to see this probably over the course of this video, you're going to read some of these and be like, this seems like there would be the potential that it could be achievable, right? And other times you read an alternate win con and you're like, there's no way this is ever going to happen. So I'm curious to see your thoughts on these. Speaking of which, here is the next one.
I'll tell you what, man. Hearthstone actually has a lot of these. It's just Mechathune was such a special case that it was plausible. Some of the other ones are just like mana cost. It just doesn't work out the way you're hoping. So we'll see what happens here. Destiny Board. When this card and all 4 spirit message cards with different names are placed on your field, you win the duel. Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, place 1 spirit message card from your hand or deck in your spell. Okay. So they all, oh my God, wow. And then in the proper order of INAL, are those significant letters in Yu-Gi-Oh or something?
Oh, here they are for you.
Okay. When any spirit message card or Destiny Board you control leaves the field, send all spirit. Okay, so it's literally, you're all in on this. Like if one of them okay, hold on, I gotta read these 2. Can only be placed on the field by the effect of Destiny. So they don't have any like special meaning. It's just like the letters they picked. Why is it anal?
Oh, I'm sorry. It says anal. Sorry, there should be an I there instead of an A. Excuse me. I guess I must have missed that. Sorry. Here's the I for you. You can replace that.
I actually can't tell if that was intentional or not. You played it off very well if it was.
Thank you. I'm not going to tell you either way if that was planned.
Sorry, let me. You want to reread the card? I kind of skipped through it because I got the idea of the card as I was reading through it. But okay. Holy shit. Okay, when this card and all 4 spirit message cards with different names are placed on your field, you win the duel. Once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, place 1 spirit message card from your hand or deck in your spell and trap zone face up. In the proper order of INAL. When any spirit message card or destiny board you control leaves the field, send all spirit message card and destiny board you control to the graveyard. Okay. Is there a reason why it's significant in order, by the way? Like, is it just like...
It's just because it's... So, this is an interesting lore dump. These cards, like many Yu-Gi-Oh cards, got censored. So, the original Destiny board actually spells death. So, the letters are D-E-A-T-H, which is supposed to, because, like, in the show, it's supposed to, like, kill the person kind of thing. But... for 5-year-olds, because they have to censor everything for Yu-Gi-Oh, they turned it from death into final, which is, basically, the same thing.
Oh, so because Destiny board has an F in it. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. So if any of these get popped, you just, like, your win condition's gone.
Correct.
And you have to start from the very beginning. Place one spirit message card from your hand. That's really, like, so the weird thing about this, though, is I wonder if this card was just played to thin your deck out. Because, like, maybe you don't care that it wins you the game. Maybe you're just playing this because it's like 4 cards that you could just potentially draw off one. And that seems like a cool idea. Because, like, then you inherently have the win condition in. I'm not sure how good it is to just run 4 really bad cards for your deck. Because if you don't draw the Destiny board, you're probably pretty upset. Maybe it's actually what it was played for. Because I feel like if you're truly going for this win condition, it might be a little rough. Because if your opponent has any removal, it's just sad. You need to respond to it. But maybe back in the day when Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't like as crazy as it was now, because this seems like a pretty old card.
I will let you know, we're going to be, for the most part, going chronological order. This was from the 4th set in Labyrinth of Nightmare. So Yu-Gi-Oh's a lot slower. This is like Yu-Gi-Oh 1 territory we're dealing with.
Okay. And a reminder, Pot of Greed was already banned?
It was at 1 copy.
Could you play all spirit cards if you have them in your hand?
No.
The same turn? Like, did you?
You can only activate them from Destiny board.
It says on the spirit. Yeah, okay. Can all be placed in the field, but okay. So if you drew them, they're just dead cards in your hand, unless you have the Destiny board.
Yep.
Okay, so the idea of like pulling cards from your deck is probably not what you want to do with this. God, this one feels so weird because I'd rather have Exodia than this. I think Exodia is more consistent and like you can actually...
At least you can play them from the hand though. Like at least if you draw them, like it's not completely dead. It says from hand or deck. So there is that.
Yeah, it just feels so bad. Like if you... I mean, maybe my logic was right there. Like maybe you do just play Destiny board just for the fact that you can draw cards from your deck pretty consistently. Because this is like a... Like in theory, this is like a good draw engine. You're not taking cards that you want, but the idea is like if you have to run, what is it, 40 cards in this game?
40 cards, correct. Minimum. You could do 60.
If you run 40, this card theoretically just -5s from it because it would draw a card every single turn as long as it's on the board.
Okay.
So if you could run 35 cards, you would be pretty happy with that in your deck because people would run 35 cards if they could.
Okay.
So maybe that's good enough. Like that's tough to tell. It really depends on what the metagame is and what like the rest of the cards around it are. I'm gonna go with no. I don't think this is playable for like the actual win condition though. I think this is too slow.
But you think like, it was playable as a mill engine for yourself?
I'm thinking not even mill engine. I'm thinking like just to draw like an extra card to turn. Yeah, thinning your like I think for thinning your deck it makes some sense. But even then, I don't even know if that's optimal because like you still have to run these cards. You could just run other cards that may draw you more cards. And like I'm also basing this off. You've showed me so many cards from early Yu-Gi-Oh that just destroy your back row. So I feel like this is not plausible. So I'm gonna go no.
You are correct. So this was definitely Disneyland for sure. This was something I would say this has turned into, if you want to like do the ultimate thing that's going to piss off your friends or like you're like streaming and want like a challenge, this is the type of like win condition you try to go for. Because like you said, it is extremely difficult to do this. There's a lot of issues with this. First of all, like you identified, if any one of the pieces get destroyed, the whole thing goes away and you have to start over again. Another big issue with this engine is that while you're placing your pieces on the board, remember, you only have 5 spell and trap zones. So there's a world where, let's say you put a trap card face down on the field and there's no way for you to activate it because maybe you can't meet whatever the activation condition is. There's a world where you get like 4 letters on the field and you can't put the 5th letter because you're locked because your spell and trap zone is full. And so you can't actually like even get, like maybe that card's trying to protect your other cards, but if you can't get rid of that card, then you can't place the final letter to actually like get the win condition achieved, right? So that's another problem. Similar to Exodia, Destiny board actually received a whole wave of support that was like, because Destiny board, similar to Exodia, is in the anime. It's played by one of the main villains of the show. And in the show, of course, you know, they make it seem like all cool. Like, oh no, like the final letter is Yugi gonna lose. And, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but, you know, you can probably figure it out. It's more of like an anime pipe dream than anything else. Very cool concept, and it's like fun because it's supposed to be like a Ouija board. I think they added that out of the art. But it's like a Ouija board picking each of the letters, which is very fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but
have I shown you Wheel of Death in Hearthstone?
Maybe that sounds sort of familiar. You taking notes for another video?
I won't say this, but this is very like familiar.
Okay.
For that card.
Yeah,
so.
But you're also right too. During this time, there were plenty of ways to destroy back row. There were some ways to protect back row, but it wasn't as common. But this engine or this win condition was never really viable. Compared to Exodia, it's like you said, you'd rather play like an Exodia deck than play Destiny board because there's just way too many downsides for it. But if you can pull it off, it's like one of those cool things where it's like, you know, everyone's going to remember that moment sort of thing just because it's like really difficult to do. Okay. Next up, here you go.
Final countdown. Pay 2,000 life points after 20 turns have passed after you activate this card. Counting the turn you activate this card as it's the first turn you win the duel. What the fuck?
So I will give you a bit of help here. A turn in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not like a full turn cycle. So my turn would be turn 1. Your turn would be turn 2. Mine would be turn 3, etc. So it would be 10 full turns, like both of us playing for final countdown to resolve and you win the game.
And this doesn't mean it has to stay on the board, right? Like once you activate this, it's done.
Correct. This is a normal spell. So once you activate this, it resolves. It goes to the graveyard. But you at this point, you kind of pull out like some dice and just keep track on the side of how many turns have passed by for final countdown.
20 turns is kind of a lot. Even if it's 10 per player, like...
I will say, this is still old Yu-Gi-Oh! This card was printed in 2003. This was like the 7th-ish set. So a few sets after the Destiny board. But still a very old card.
You're putting this card in your deck. So I gotta think of it as, if you don't draw this card, you're fucking sad. Like, you need this card pretty early on. Because you need to start the clock, like, maybe turn 1 for this to be marginally good. So if you have a way to consistently get it in your opening hand and then play it, you're probably pretty happy for the most part. Because if you build your whole deck based on removal and your opponent just has no way to win the game, then obviously inevitability will hit, you win the game there. The question is, how Disneyland is that? Like that's the interesting question here. Because it's not like this one seems better than the previous one. This one actually has a very easy deck to build around, I'm going to imagine. Like you don't have to wait 5 turns. There's no counterplay to this unless your opponent immediately reacts to it.
Which they could. I will say that's, especially early on, it was very uncommon because there was maybe only 2 cards that could like stop this from resolving in early Yu-Gi-Oh. Obviously later down the road, like there became more ways to immediately like negate the activation of it. But I will say you are correct, especially early on. There's very few ways to actually interact with this card when it activates.
I'm trying to like, how good is this? Like,
how would this be in Hearthstone? Like, would you play something like this in Hearthstone?
If it was turn 1, it would be pretty gross, depending on what class it would be. Because like, I'm assuming this is like a quest in Hearthstone. That's what I would base it off. Which quests start in your hand. You play it turn 1. There's a countdown happening for both players. That doesn't sound like good game design for the record. I would like hate the game if they played like that. Depends on the class as well. Like if they give it a warrior, I think like no one will play this game anymore. So it would be good if it was a quest. The question is like, is it a quest? And if it's not a quest, it's significantly worse. Because even with the mulligan, like you'd have to find it relatively early. There's the argument to be had that like if they're not winning by turn 10 anyways, the game's probably over. Is it even worth running a card like this? Because would you rather just have, like if you're going for like removal based, unless it's exactly like combo and they kill you from 1 turn out of nowhere because they got all their pieces of Exodia, like is your deck needing to run this? And I don't know if that's the case. Like if you draw this like later in the game, like you're so pissed and you're probably running 1 of these. Maybe 2. Like it just sounds so awful. Why did Hearthstone when I play this? I think Hearthstone has Dormant. Dormant is often fine depending on how good the effect is when it awakens. But if the effect isn't good enough when it awakens, it's very lackluster. And this is like a really good example of that. But I mean, 10 turns like to win, the game is there's too much. Oh my God. I think this is bad. Like I think the logic is like, I think if this game gets to that point and you're still surviving, you probably already won the game.
Okay.
So like, sure, you could run this, but I don't think you need it. So I'll go with that.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Would you believe me if I told you this card is limited to 1 currently?
I would if you tell me that there's a way to get it exactly on turn 1.
There are ways now that you are able to sort of fetch this card immediately on turn 1. There is a card called Left Arm Offering, for instance, that requires you to banish your whole hand to search any spell card in your deck, which is very powerful. And I think you have to banish a minimum of like 2 other cards. So like it's a very high investment. Like you're going all in to do something like that. So there are cards like that. But early on in Yu-Gi-Oh!, those cards didn't exist. I think maybe like one of the closest cards we had to searching something like this was Gold Sarcophagus. Gold Sarcophagus just says you banish a card from your deck, any card, and then in 2 turns you get to add that card to your hand. So it's like you could play extra copies of Final Countdown in a way, right? Because you can search it, even though you have to wait 2 turns to do so. And you might think to yourself, well, now you're adding 2 extra turns onto the Final Countdown before you can even activate it. And yes, that's true. But the way Final Countdown decks were designed is the whole premise of the deck was you activate Final Countdown, and the rest of your deck is just stall cards that just end the battle phase so your opponent can never attack you, and cards that let you draw. So in the instance where you don't open Final Countdown in your opening hand, let's assume it's at 3 copies at this point, that you're going to find... you're going to draw deeper into your deck to find the Final Countdown to get the clock started. And then it becomes a race of, can you just stall out for 10 turns and negate battle phases and stop your opponent from killing you before the Final Countdown resolves? This might shock you. This deck and this strategy actually like topped YCS's, like our equivalent of our like major tournaments back in the day. Multiple times. It wasn't even like a one-off. There was like multiple instances of Final Countdown that did well. And I would say it's primarily like a meta call. I would say that you would kind of have to like assess and be like, like a lot of people aren't really like playing like ways to like interact with this type of strategy. So it's not like everyone was playing Final Countdown, because then you would obviously see cards in the side deck that would be specifically targeted to stop a deck like this. However, it was annoying enough that Final Countdown is now limited to a singular copy. And there are instances, because we've had some extremely broken stall cards in the game, that this was the win condition to allow you to win. Even at a singular copy, if you can believe that. And so, as interesting as it may seem, this card is actually quite good under the right circumstances. I haven't seen anyone playing a Final Countdown deck recently, like maybe several years ago you saw it, but now I have not seen this card played in the past a few years. But historically, this card has had several moments in the spotlight, if you can believe that.
Well, I see, like, I believe it because, like, if you have enough cards to do it, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a lot of very annoying stall cards as well that just, like, permanently stay on the field, and some decks just, like, can't interact with them unless they get a way to, like, destroy the card, right? And even if you destroy one, they might have another, right? So then it's just, like, it kind of, like, just becomes this huge issue. So not very fun, which is why this card is limited. I think Konami doesn't want to like encourage people to play this style of game, because it's like, oh, I activate Final Countdown. Now for the next 10 turns, I'm just going to play a card that stops you from attacking me, and that's the end of the game. Like, that's very boring. So
yeah. I was going to say, in Hearthstone, we don't really have effects that just stop you from attacking. Like, there would be enough, like, there's ways for you to like get a lot of the armor. Like, Mage has Frost Nova, which could like delay a turn. Like, you could freeze, but again, it depends on the class.
Imagine you're playing this in like 20 Frost Novas. Basically, that's like what the deck looks like.
I mean, okay, if you say that, like that, like, yeah, this card's broken.
Yeah,
like,
no, we have plenty of cards that are basically Frost Nova, sometimes like permanent Frost Nova. I've shown you before Wall of Revealing Light, right? Where you pay life points and nothing under that attack threshold can attack, right? We have like 40 different variants of that type of effect that are continuous and stay active on the field. Oh, it's oppressive and it's disgusting and you hate yourself when you have to play against it. But surprisingly, like, actually a valid strategy, especially compared to like stupid ass Destiny
I don't doubt it. Yeah, I don't doubt that is. I mean, again, if you have the tools, like, I could see the win condition being very good. Like, it's like Freeze Mage. It's like Freeze Mage. That's
pretty much. Yeah. So cool deck for the right person, but obviously something that I don't think a lot of people thoroughly enjoy playing against, which I'm happy they've kind of taken a stance against that. But anyway, let's move on. Here you go.
What the fuck is this? Oh my God. Is that a G? That's a G, right? Venomanaga? Venomanaga. Oh, Venana. Okay, that's, I guess it's like some, because Nagas are in Hearthstone. It's some like Warcraft thing. What the hell? The art in this game, every time you show me a new card, every episode, I'm like, this is just something special. The Deity of Poisonous Snakes.
Yeah, a lot of people simp for this card.
I can see why. Very You know, I'm not gonna finish this on this. Can't be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned with Rise of the Snake Deity. Or by its own effect gains 500 attack for each reptile monster in your graveyard. Neither player can target this card with card effects. Also, it is unaffected by other cards and their effects. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other reptile monster from your graveyard, special summon this card. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, place one hyper venom counter on it. When the third hyper venom counter is placed on this card, you win the duel.
Okay, so you need a bit of context here. You need Rise of the Snake Deity to play this card. So here's Rise of the Snake Deity.
When a face up, what is it again? Phenomenon?
This is Phenomenon, and I'll show you that after.
Okay, great. The king of poisonous snakes you control is destroyed except by battle. Special summon one Phenomenaga, the deity of poisonous snakes, from your hand or deck. Okay.
Okay, and then here is Phenomenon.
This line. What the hell is that? Cannot be special summoned by another effect monster's effect. Unaffected by Venom Swamp, gains 500 attack for each reptile monster in your graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other reptile monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card.
I'm going to show you.
Is that all the?
I'm going to show you one final card here, and I'm going to see if you can piece it together.
Limit Reverse. Target one monster with 1,000 or less attack in your graveyard. Special summon it in attack position. If the target is changed to defense position, destroy it in this card. This card leaves the field, destroy the target. When this target is destroyed, destroy this card. Okay, hold on. They all have 0 attack. Hold on, I gotta read this. That was a lot of information. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. So Limit Reverse is used for special summoning a minion in attack position. And I think that is pretty much it from the rest of the text. Hold on, because like the rest of it, if this target is changed to defense position, destroy it. So yeah, okay. So if it leaves or it's changed to defense position, you just destroy this card. Okay, so that is used to get an attack position monster. The king, unaffected by Venom Swamp, gains 500 attack for each reptile monster in your graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle, and so you can banish one of the reptile monster from your graveyard. So this card. Okay, so when I just gotta clarify this. This card is a 0/0 in your graveyard, but when it is on the board, then its attack gains 500 attack for each reptile.
Correct.
Rise is when you control the king. It's short except for battle. Special summon one of the first card. The Naga is okay from your hand or deck. So do you limit reverse your king to special summon the Naga? Is that what it is? Okay, it must be special summoned by Rise. No, but you don't need that. Well, I guess. Okay, hold on. So you need this card on the board. Oh, this is like Exodia with like a million extra steps here. Hold on. Special summon this from your hand. I gotta get to the whole book. Okay, hold on. Except I special summon this from your hand or deck. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so then I gotta remind myself what the effect is. The DD. So it's 500 attack for each reptile in your graveyard. Neither player can target this card with effects. Is also unaffected by other cards or their effects. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one of the reptile monsters. Special summon this card. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, place one hyper venom counter on it. Can you answer one question for me?
Sure.
Is it possible to get all 3 counters in one attack phase? Is this over the course?
Does it say you can't?
No, but is there cards in the game that allow you for this to attack multiple times?
Sure.
In a single turn? Okay, so the strategy is that you I'm guessing you have your king on board, you kill it with something, and then you rise up your Naga, and then they attack 3 times in a row. Like that's the only way I can think of how you do this.
Okay. Okay.
And you bypass the special summon because Rise allows you to, and then you can also get your king back on board by sacrificing like a reptile. So this is a deck where you're literally just you're milling your whole deck, finding the DD and the king, and then those 2 kill your opponent in 1 turn. If they have no monsters on board, this is like an OTK. If they have a monster on board, I'm assuming that your attack will be large enough that you will get battle damage on your opponent, and you can do that multiple times. Is that playable? God, I have no fucking idea. How the hell do you attack multiple times in a turn? Like, is it likely that you will? Like, can you show me a card that allows this? Like, is that allowed?
So, in fairness, there are ways to do that, but also keep in mind that Phenomenaga is also just like unaffected by everything, right? It says it can't be targeted by either player, and it says it's unaffected by other cards and their effects. This card was printed, for context, in like 2007, I want to say. So a bit later than the other ones, like a few years later. However, this might be one of the first, if not the first card in Yu-Gi-Oh! That has the text that says it's unaffected by everything, essentially. Even if you can't attack in the, like you get all 3 attacks in a single turn, It's extremely difficult for your opponent to deal with this because I think the only way they can kill it is if they kill it in battle. But if they have a million reptiles in the graveyard, its attack is going to be through the fucking roof. So they're not even going to be able to do that. Contextually, there is a world where you could just over the course of 3 turns just like slap your opponent because they can't answer this anyway.
So you're saying like the reality is you're just going to die in 1 turn because there's so many reptiles in your graveyard. I'm assuming
yeah, like you could just straight up kill them with damage. Yeah, like that's not impossible to think. There's also I will show you this card, which might help in your evaluation here.
I'm just trying to say, so you're saying like the main win condition of this is like this is such a threat that your opponent can't deal with it. Like it's just winning the game in quotations because like your opponent just can't answer it.
Give this card a read real quick.
1 card, send 4 reptiles from your deck to the graveyard. I mean, see, like that's pretty good. Like that's like right there, that's 2,000 damage.
This card's also not once per turn.
Yeah, so I mean, if you get ball, because like there's a reality where like even if your opponent has a monster on the board and you just have enough damage, like you just one-shot them.
Yeah,
like, and they can't do anything to
right.
stop
There's
you.
a world you don't even care about the hyper venom counter. Like you could just make a big guy and just kill them. Like that is also something you could do. Yes, and this I will say the set this was released in. This may not surprise you. It had a very heavy emphasis on reptile support.
God, like I mean, like surely this is playable then. Like I don't know, like. If in a world where like I think the card says like you can't like do anything to it, it sounds pretty miserable. And if they print the for the card, surely that's playable. So like, and it seems pretty consistent. I'm guessing. I don't know. Like, sure. I'm assuming. So I think I figured out the 3 win condition. So it's either you get enough attack, you one-shot your opponent. You do attack them 3 times, and then they just lose the game because you get 3 counters. Or they just do enough damage over the course of multiple turns, then your opponent can't deal. I mean, if your opponent can't even answer the DD, like how do they win the game?
Right.
Like they can't attack.
Because remember,
so
everything
like,
has taunt too. So like they have to get through Venomanaga if they want to like even deal damage to you, unless they have some like direct attack or some other alternate win condition of their own. Yeah.
I feel like you're baiting me, and like this is actually really bad, but I'll go with really good. Like I think the fact that it's pretty, the fact that you show me that you can discard a lot of reptiles into your graveyard seems like that's pretty good. And wait, hold on. Can you get this card from your graveyard though? Because the king needs to be special. You need to have the king, and then you need to special summon the deity from hand or deck. So I'm assuming you're running like 3 copies of it to guarantee it, like just for redundancy.
Well, you could just not summon Venomanaga, or I'm sorry, you could just not send Venomanaga off Snake Rain. Like you just keep that in the deck.
Oh, you get to pick.
You get to pick. Oh yeah.
Oh,
remember, this isn't Hearthstone that everything just automatically goes from your deck to the grave or whatever. You get to pick.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So I'll go with the very good. I'll go with good.
Final answer?
Final answer.
This card is ass.
Really?
This card is awful.
What? Okay.
This card is awful.
Is it because you can't, like, it's too unlikely you'll summon it?
It's just the amount of work to get to put this card like in play. It's like it's when you said it at first, I thought you were gonna figure it out. You said it's Exodia with way more steps. That's exactly it. So basically, the combo's not difficult to set up, and I think you figured it out. So basically, you find a way to get Phenomenon in the graveyard. I showed you Snake Rain. Snake Rain is a card that everyone basically has like stonks in, because this card, if they ever print good reptile support, is going to be broken, because it like literally just like, you know how powerful the graveyard is in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So everyone is waiting for a good reptile deck, because this card will just break that deck entirely. No once per turn, it sends 4 things to the it's nuts. But anyway, so basically you can like Snake Rain, dump Phenomenon. Then you have Limit Reverse, which can resurrect Phenomenon. Basically what you would want to do is, let's say you set Limit Reverse and Rise of the Snake Deity and you pass your turn, right? Your opponent does something, blah, 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 whatever. Then let's say at the end of their turn, you would activate Limit Reverse to resurrect Phenomenon in attack position. On your turn, you can switch Phenomenon to defense position, which activates Limit Reverse to destroy both it and the Limit Reverse. That then allows you to activate Rise of the Snake Deity, because your Phenomenon was destroyed except by battle. It was destroyed by the Limit Reverse's effect. So now you can Rise of the Snake Deity and bring Phenomenaga straight out of your deck onto the field. It doesn't seem that complicated, but you need to have these like exact specific cards, especially Rise of the Snake Deity. There are other ways besides Limit Reverse to destroy your own Phenomenon, but you need exactly Rise of the Snake Deity, and there's no real way to like search this card. So if you don't draw it, your whole deck kind of just like doesn't work, and you're playing like this like bad reptile deck, because while I said there's a lot of reptile support, I didn't say there was good reptile support. So you're playing a deck that is full of a bunch of really bad cards, trying to summon this like ultimate win condition that is like the biggest dream ever. And don't get me wrong, if you stick it, especially in old Yu-Gi-Oh, you're probably going to win the game because there's very few ways to actually kill a Venamanaga. Compared to what you could be doing during this time, it was just not consistent enough to really compete with anything, and you would just not want to waste your time with it. People tried it. It's similar to what's it called, Destiny board. You would see people trying this at like locals or online just because it's very funny. But it was more of a meme than anything else.
Shit. So. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I actually overlooked the fact that like I guess that's the only card in the game that lets you summon it.
Correct. And not to mention, your opponent can just negate Rise of the Snake Deity with like a counter trap or something. And if they do that, then you just like have no.
Yeah, your deck's bad.
Your deck's bad. Like, yeah, because like, you're kind of all in on this strategy. If there were, I will say, if like the other reptile cards at the time were like standalone good, there could be an argument that you could have played this deck because there's just like, they were all just awful and you would never want to play them like otherwise. You're only playing them because you need to play it for this exact deck. And we've tried to do this in some videos that I've also done historically, and it does not pan out the way you want it to.
Yeah. The time has come. I will switch Phenomenon to defense mode, triggering the effect of Limit Reverse to pop my Phenomenon. And then I activate Rise of the Snake Deity! Because my Phenomenon is destroyed except by battle, I can special summon Phenomenaga, the deity of poisonous snakes!
No, that's not happening.
But conceptually, it's a cool little way to get a win condition on the field. But
okay,
just
makes
a bit
sense.
too much. Just a bit too much. We're gonna show you another Exodia. Exodia has multiple forms, if you can believe that. He comes back multiple times in Yu-Gi-Oh. So here you go.
Exodia, the ultimate Forbidden Lord. Cannot be normal summon or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by shuffling all monsters in your graveyard into your deck, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card declares an attack, send one monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. This card gains 1,000 attack for each normal monster in your graveyard. If this face-up card would leave the field, banish it instead. There are all 5 different Forbidden 1 cards in your graveyard that were sent there by this card's effect. You win the duel. Are we talking like the arm, leg?
Correct. Yes. And remember, 4 of those 5 pieces are normal monsters. So if you're sending the pieces for this, it's gaining attack as you're doing.
Okay, but like, why would I run this when I could just run normal Exodia?
You tell me. You tell me. It's a card that says you win the duel. That's why I'm showing it to you.
I literally couldn't tell you a single reason why I would run the other parts of Exodia. I guess redundancy, like maybe. I guess there's a thought that like if it goes into your graveyard, you can find it back from your, and it gets shuffled back to your deck, you can find it again. But I will
say there are also cards that can like add a card from your graveyard to your hand at this point. So like you could hypothetically like mill an Exodia piece, then add it back to your hand. So it's like searching it with an extra step, if you will.
I mean, sure, but I'm sure there's other cards that do that like way easier.
I'm just helping you out in case you can make that connection. That's all.
I guess. Okay, hold on. But what if? Okay, this is a question. This is
okay. Just a question. Just a question.
If there are no cards in your graveyard, how do you summon this? Like, because you can't shuffle all monsters into your graveyard to the deck, right? So then, because there's no monsters. How do you play?
That is correct, actually. I think I'm looking at the templating on this. Must be special summon from your hand by shuffling all monsters in your graveyard into the deck. I'm going to try to look into this while you evaluate it, but I'm pretty sure I think you need to shuffle at least one into your deck in order to actually summon this.
Because I was going to say, if you open this in your hand and you play it and then you just win the game because you just mill 100 cards, like that is goated. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, you're winning the game. Like, that's crazy.
You need to have at least one monster to summon this. Yes. Okay. Just wanted to confirm.
Okay, so use a card to discard. Shuffle. You get one monster in your graveyard. You play this. Now you have this guy on the board.
Uh-huh.
But he doesn't have, like, immune or anything. He's just kind of there.
He's just there. He's a guy.
He's a meatball. The meatballs in Yu-Gi-Oh are good because you can still do damage. I mean, why? That's not bad. I guess like you add cards to your graveyard, you're fine with that. I feel like you'd want to hit this pretty early on. Like if you can, is there a card that tutors this turn 1?
Is there a card that tutors this turn 1? What a great question. I want to say at the time of this card's release, no. But now, yes.
Can we just, sorry, this is completely unrelated. Could we just take a moment to appreciate the amount of bodybuilding Exodia puts into his assault? Like, this guy is insane. He's not just swole, dude. He's like the next up and coming Wolverine. Like, if Hugh Jackman dies, I think he's next in line. This is crazy.
Yu-Gi-Oh loves it's ridiculously like just absurd muscle composition. There's plenty of cards that are like this.
The Exodia, like, bro, I feel bad for the Forbidden one because he's just kind of hiding this. Like this. Okay, anyway, sorry. God, I guess you need to be a lord instead of just a 1 in order to get this amount of muscle. I mean, I can see our worlds where you discard a card and then you play it immediately, and now you have this absolute bomb on your board that your opponent must respond to. Otherwise, they're just probably going to lose the game. But I think in reality, it's not going to pan like that. I feel like it's not good enough. And the fact that you didn't have an answer that this could be tutored turn 1 means this is bad.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this card's bad. I'm pretty sure it's bad. Final answer.
This card is actually quite good, but not for the reason that you might think. In terms of the actual you win the duel condition on it, you're never doing that. That is like the fact that all 5 pieces have to be sent to the graveyard by its effect. That would take multiple. It's kind of like the Venomenaga issue where it's like if you can't do multiple attacks in a turn, you'd have to go 5 turns to send all the pieces. That's never happening. Like that is way too slow. However, Exodius is actually just as a standalone card quite good. And I'll tell you why that is. Not every deck is going to play Exodius. There are specific decks that want to. The reasoning for that is because the shuffling all monsters from your graveyard into the deck is actually quite useful for some effects, because if there's a monster that say, let me show you actually. I'll actually give you the context here. Give me 1 sec.
Are you telling me that like you're using this card specifically because it just shuffles all monsters back into your deck?
So give this card a read.
Is that real? The Agent of Creation Venus. You pay 500 life points. Special summon 1 mystical shine ball from your hand or deck.
Okay, so a mystical shine ball, for context, is just a vanilla 500 attack monster. But you can play 3 of this. So hypothetically, you could go like Agent of Creation Venus, summon a bunch of shine balls, because it's not a once per turn on this card, right? So you can summon 3 monsters straight up from your deck by paying 1,500 life points. You can then use those shine balls for different summoning mechanics, right? Like Synchro, Xyz, some others that I haven't even shown you yet. Then you can special Exodius, because now these shine balls are in your graveyard, shuffle them all back into your deck, and because Venus isn't a once per turn, you're able to summon the shine balls back onto the field because they got shuffled back, and you could theoretically... Exodius also isn't a once per turn, so if you have multiple Exodius, you can kind of keep going in an example like this, which is actually kind of cool. There's not like many cards that have this like shuffle cards back into your deck effect built into like something you can do for basically no cost. All you need is 1 monster minimum into the graveyard, right? So that's actually like really neat that you are able to do something like that. Also, it has the effect that when it declares an attack, you can send a monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Foolish Burial is a spell card that says send a monster from your deck to the graveyard. That card's limited to a singular copy. So the fact that this card also, when it attacks, even if it doesn't have a big attack stat, right? The fact that you can just bin any monster in your deck to the graveyard just from this thing attacking is also really useful for a lot of different like combo setups, right? So it actually turns out, not to mention in the instance of Mystical Shine Ball and Agent of Creation Venus, these are normal monsters. So once you're done comboing, and if you have all your shine balls in the graveyard, let's say you have 3 shine balls in the grave, because that's the most you can play is 3 copies. Exodius is just 3,000 attack in addition to everything else. So he's kind of big, right? So it turns out with Exodius, he just provides a lot of really interesting utility for specific decks that need specific types of strategies. Also being level 10 is very relevant because being able to make rank 10 Xyz monsters, for instance, that can be sort of difficult because it's hard to get level 10 monsters out onto the field traditionally, but he just special summons himself out to the board. So if you have a way to get another level 10 on the field, or if you can summon another Exodius, for instance, you can just overlay them for a rank 10 Xyz monster, and you have a huge, like, just big game warping card on the field. So you're never playing this card for its win condition, but it actually has a really just cool utility for a lot of different decks that no other card really does. So as a result of that, this card has actually seen not a ton of play, but in the right decks, this card would be maxed out at like 3 copies.
No,
it's very
let's be honest, dude. There's no fucking way. Okay, I mean, let's be honest, dude. There's no fucking way I was getting that.
I thought maybe
that's
with the
because
shuffling the stuff, but like it's weird in Hearthstone because you guys don't really interact with your graveyard all that much. So
I would feel like if I'm shuffling a card back into my deck, it's not because it died. Generally, most of the time, like I'm rezzing stuff, I'm not shuffling it back to my deck.
okay, interesting.
For it to be playable. So like in my mind, it's like I can't imagine a world. Like also, it's just in Yu-Gi-Oh, like stuff in your graveyard is very good.
Yes.
So
yes.
like seeing this card without seeing the full like combination of what you were going through, like I can't imagine a world why you would want to do this.
That's fair. That's fair.
So it's very interesting. Like, I mean, I understand why it's good. Also, like the shine ball thing is disgusting. By the way. Like, I don't think it's Exodius. I think it's the shine ball.
Yeah. Venus has seen like relatively modern play because it doesn't have that once per turn clause and because there is ways to like recycle the shine balls. So it's very funny because Venus is a very old card. It's from like 2003. So the fact it still sees play.
I was gonna say for the record that card might be like, is that card like even playable currently? Because that sounds disgusting. Like if you said, I just for the record, if you said to me you could spend like 10, I'm not gonna 10 maybe a little bit egregious. If you could spend 5 life to summon 3 like 1/1s from your deck and they're playable immediately, every aggro deck in the game would run that. Like it's not even a question. So like the fact that is not even, I want to call it like good enough, is insane to me. Like that is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
It's cool. No, it's like that's like why Yu-Gi-Oh is great because these really old cards sometimes have this like insane application for modern Yu-Gi-Oh, which is really cool.
Fuck, like it's so like what the fuck? You're pulling out like the mystical shine.
Oh, trust me, if you open the mystical shine balls in your hand, you're very upset about it because like you just have a wasted card.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you
That's
have to play them.
patches
But you
of-
have to play them. You have to play 'em.
Yeah.
All right, next card.
Okay. Holy, what the fuck? What the hell is this? Jackpot 7? Okay.
Let's go
Pot of Greed's back.
gambling.
Okay. Is this actually what this? I'm excited. When this card is activated, shuffle this card from the field into the graveyard. When this card is in your possession, is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect. Banish this card if 3 of your jackpot 7s are currently banished and were all banished by this effect. You win the duel. Hold on. Shuffle the card from the field into the deck. This card is in your possession. Oh, so when this card specifically is in your possession, is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect. So you're relying on your opponent to do this for you?
Or are you relying on your opponent at all, Rarin?
Dark Scorpion Burglars. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent sends 1 spell card from their deck to the graveyard.
And here's one final card for you to look at.
Sheen's Spy. Target 1 face-up monster you control. Give control. Okay.
You putting it together, buddy?
Yeah, I was like, I saw that Dark Scorpion Burglars. I was like, that doesn't help you. Like, that's just kind of a cool card, though. And then, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But that requires your opponent to attack with it, no?
Does it?
Target 1 phase of monster. Give your control to your opponent until the end phase. I'm sorry. So, like, what, you attack with it, and then you give it to your opponent, and then the attack still happens? Is that how that interacts? What? Okay, you're gonna have to walk me through mechanics here. How does that interact? Because like your opponent could just be like, I'm not doing it, right? Like they have the free will to say no to attack.
Let me try to, I don't want to fully give it away, but let me try to help you out here. Battle damage occurs if your monster kills my monster. I take battle damage equal to the difference of their attack stats.
When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent sends 1 spell card from the deck.
Do you need a little bit more help, buddy?
I'm just trying to understand of like how you're still setting this jackpot 7. The way that I'm understanding this is that you could target your own burglars, give it to your opponent.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But how does the burglar, like, unless your opponent just doesn't realize what's happening and they're like drunk, like they wouldn't swing with the burglars because they're just inherently making it so that you're more likely to win the game unless it's like lethal. So I'm just trying to understand how you're actually doing battle damage to yourself.
What if I told you your opponent doesn't have to attack at all?
Well, because you're swinging into it with something else.
There you go. Now you're figuring it out.
Oh, so you need, okay. So I was based this off like these cards only, and that's the only card that you're gonna see. I was very tunneled on that. So then you give this to your opponent. You have minions that are smaller. You are now taking battle damage on your own turn.
There you go.
So you send enough of these. That's a very interesting line.
A+. Good job. He figured it out, everyone. I will let you know there are plenty of other cards in the game that can give you multiple like tokens or 3 guys that are less than 1,000 attack to crash into Dark Scorpion Burglars, which is why I didn't show you any.
Like, is that Disney? Like,
is it?
I
don't know.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Is this, hold on, Jackpot 7, if it's, this is in your deck, right? Your opponent can send 1 spell card from their deck to the graveyard. So if you have 1 in your hand, you're crying.
No, because you can just activate it to put it back into the deck.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah,
that's what the first line of text is for, which is nice. You know, they're helping you out a bit.
You know, when you're getting like someone trying to scam you and you have that thought process,
okay.
That's like, is this too good to be true? That's where I'm at.
Okay.
That seems too Disney.
It seems too easy. Is that the problem?
It's too, yeah, exactly. It seems like it's like you just do it, haha, and then you win. Like, there's no way it's this easy.
I will also let you know there are other cards that are similar to Sheehan's Spy. That's not like the only card that can give your opponent control of the burglars as well. I just showed you the most basic one. God,
I feel like this card has no middle ground. It's either like it's just disgustingly good or like it's just horrible. Okay. I feel like you don't just casually build the deck for this. Like it's just.
Okay.
Like this is a meta tyrant or it's the worst card in the game.
Okay.
Like I feel like there's no in between. And like maybe it is just the meta tyrant. Like, is it really just that simple? Like you just have tokens. Your opponent just does the damage for you. They're like at a loss.
I don't know. You tell me.
That's insane. That is insane. I'm gonna.
Would this be Hearthstone playable?
I would have to think
this
about
seems
how
like
they
a
would
Hearthstone deck. I mean, like all of these mechanics are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the only issue is like mechanically, there's no way for you to take damage on your own from your opponent's minions.
Oh, right, because when your minions attack, it doesn't come out of your health pool. That's right.
It would be like it'd have to be like a very specific line of text to have that.
Sure. Well, say it's like, say there's like, it's if your minions take damage instead of like, your health taking damage.
Oh,
right?
This would be disgusting. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, this would be. If like I don't even need to have the burglars, right? If my minions just took damage, it would be over. Like it'd be free. It'd be like fucking what's the other Exodia all over again. I mean, I can definitely see it. I can see this being good.
Okay.
Like, again, it's either the best card or the worst card. I'm still leaning towards this is Disneyland. I'm gonna go with the worst card. Like I just don't. There's no way this is played. Like it's too easy. It's too good to be true. You're scamming me. Final answer.
You ready for me to blow your mind?
Is it actually like a tier 1 deck?
What if I told you this was a tier 1 deck when it was released?
I disagree with you at all. Like it was 100% real.
Well, I'm totally fucking with you. This card sucks.
Okay. I'm glad I said at the start it's either the best card or it's the worst card of the game. There's no like in between.
This is like it's another gimmick deck where it's like, yeah, you go into Master Duel or something. Jackpot 7's a relatively newer card. Funny enough, Dark Scorpion Burglars and Sheehan's Spy are older cards, as a matter of fact. So Jackpot 7 came out. People figured out this combo. It's not that hard to do, in all honesty. It's pretty, like you said, it's pretty straightforward. The problem is, I think it just came out too late. If I'm being honest, like, I think if this came out earlier, it may have been way more viable. But Jackpot 7, when the hell did Jackpot 7 come out? Let me quickly look. This card came out in 2014. So we're in like mid Yu-Gi-Oh at this point. Like there's so much more going on at this point that, yeah, it's a very cute gimmick deck that you can play, but you're also sort of all in on this strategy. There isn't like an alternate thing you can really be doing here. It's kind of like if you do the thing, cool. If not, that's kind of like a similar trend across all these decks. Like they don't have like an alternate like win con essentially. But it's very cute. It's very cute. It's very fun. It's very clippable when it does happen, and I thought it's a fun card. Like this, I will give you some credit. This seems like, out of all the win conditions I've showed you, this seems so easy, right? Like on paper, you read this, and it's like, this is like one of those things you brew, and you're like, I swear I can find a way to break this card. And people have always felt that way about Jackpot 7. Unfortunately, it's just like, it never really got there, which is kind of sad because it's a very funny card. But
it's like, it just seems easier than Exodia. I don't know why. Like,
sure.
It just seems
like
so
if
possible.
you open Burglar, Sheehan's Spy, and one of the token producers, you literally win the game immediately because you just go Burglars, Spy, give them the thing, summon your 3 tokens, attack, game's over. You literally win the duel. That's all it takes. It's like, it seems so easy, but the problem is it's just, you need to have the cards and your opponent can interact with you, right? So the problem is like they can have stuff to stop you from attacking. They can have a myriad of different things. So it's just, it's very simple and easy, but when you're actually having to interact with the opponent compared to Hearthstone where like you can kind of just do whatever when it's your turn, a lot more difficult, it turns out. But very fun card. Very fun card. Only a couple left. You might remember this card, as a matter of fact. I haven't shown it to you before, but you may have seen it.
Flying Elephant. I don't remember it at all. Once per opponent's turn, if this card would be destroyed by their card effect, it is not destroyed. Once per turn during the end phase, if that effect was applied this turn, apply the following effect. During your next turn, if this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's... Oh, I remember this card. Yeah. If it inflicts battle damage to your opponent by direct damage, you win the duel.
What do you remember it from?
Yeah, that... God, did you show me this or did Stevie show me this? I remember something... I remember seeing that line of text. I'm having the flashback.
Okay, well, I'll give you some help. This is actually from the anime, as a matter of fact, since you did watch the first season.
Oh, is that what it is?
This is the card that Pegasus, when he called over a kid to beat Bandit Keith in like that flashback why Bandit Keith has like the grudge. This is the card. They ended up printing it as a real card like way later in Yu-Gi-Oh's history.
Can I be honest? That fucking scene is so fucking funny.
It is.
That is a priceless scene to be. Okay.
So this is that card. Like it's the exact artwork too, which is really cool.
There seems to be a common thing though. If a card is from the anime, they don't seem to be very good.
It depends on the card.
No,
Pot of Greed's in the anime, to be fair.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, you're right. Okay,
and everyone's playing it.
I shouldn't follow that. Once per opponent's turn, if this card would be destroyed by their card effect, it is not destroyed. Once
that's
per
like
turn
Divine
during the end
Shield, that
phase.
first line.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's actually maybe even better because I guess it's like it works for monsters effects too, right?
It's anything that would destroy. Yeah, monster, spell, trap, and also it's Divine Shield that comes back every single opponent's turn. So
that is fair.
If it sticks around, yeah.
Can you give me the example of like if this effect was applied this turn? What does that mean?
So like, it's saying that you can't attack directly and win the duel if it didn't protect itself from being destroyed once prior to that. That's what it's saying.
Okay.
So like if the first thing doesn't happen, you can't use the bullet point effect to win the duel. So your opponent has to do something to try to destroy this. Then your turn comes around and you have to attack directly to be able to win the duel.
So basically, like if your opponent doesn't have 2 removals, like they never interact with this card until they can actually murder it.
Sure.
But
yeah.
You gave me this weird like combination from the previous example, which is what if I just give my opponent the burglars and I spy it over and then I just use the elephant to kill him because it has more attack and it inflicts battle damage. Like you could give your opponent a minion that you could swing into to actually inflict the battle damage.
Sure, or if they have no minions, you just hit them directly anyway.
That's also fair,
or there are cards that can make things attack directly, so there's that.
Is that good enough? So that requires your opponent to be like, hey, I'm going to interact with this, but I'm not going to kill it. And that also requires your opponent to like understand that they're probably going to die. Like I feel like if they're... But then I guess it puts your opponent in a weird spot where it's like if they don't interact with it, like it's just kind of there hanging. I mean, like there's no way, right? The win conditions of this game are so weird, or I guess these ones, because like again, this one just looks so easy. Like how is
it's
this
all
not?
in one card? It's all in one card.
Exactly. You have this. You literally gave me the. I don't know if that was intentional. You literally gave me like a potential setup for it.
Interesting.
Would
I actually take the time to curate something like that? I don't know.
Yes, I think you would.
Yeah.
Yes, all of us are sick and we like to make each other suffer. Yes, you absolutely would. I think this is fine. I don't know. Like, am I really going to rely on my opponent to like interact with this in a way that doesn't kill this so I can kill them? No. Like, is that a win condition? Like
unless there's a way to like force them.
I mean, bro, like we're in Disney at this point, and then like I think we're going. I'm
trying to help you out here. Just trying to help you out.
Is that Mickey Mouse in the background? Who was that? I'm gonna go with it's not playable.
I'm fuck you up with my flying elephant.
Okay, definitely not playable. That's straight up Mickey. There's no way. There's no way.
Final answer.
I'm gonna go with not. I'm gonna go with not playable. Yeah, final answer.
Final answer. Yeah, you're right. This card's not playable. It's bad.
Okay.
It's like you figured out. Why would your opponent purposely give you the ability to like trigger this so that they have the potential to just lose immediately from this thing attacking directly? There are like maybe a few cards that have like mandatory effects that like require things to be destroyed, I guess. But like aside from that, like I can't really think of like many instances. There are like, if you look up, there are some combo decks. You can set this up that there is a way that your opponent has an effect that would destroy this and then you can protect it. But the amount of hoops you have to jump through for this when you could do like anything else in Yu-Gi-Oh is insane. So I just don't know why you would even bother. This is mainly just this was a card in the anime. They thought it'd be fun to print it, and it's very cute. So it's something that you look at it and you're like, huh, is there something here? And there's not, shocker. But, you know, like you said, anything in the anime is typically not particularly good.
It's not good.
Not particularly good.
I just think like relying on my opponent is not something I generally want to do.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
I'd say that's fair. All right.
Fair.
Only a couple left. I got 2 left for you here. We're actually going to look at some Xyz monsters here. I think you remember how these work. This one's pretty straightforward, though.
Number 88, Gimmick Puppet of Leo. 3 level 8 monsters. Once per turn, if you have no cards in your spell and trap card zone, you could detach 1 XYZ material from this card. And if you do, place 1 destiny counter on this card. You cannot conduct your battle phase this turn if you activate this effect. When 3 destiny counters are on this card, you can win a duel. Oh, I was going to say, can you do that more than once per turn? Because then, yeah, like, you just win the game. But yeah, it's literally the first sentence is once per turn. Okay. If you, hold on. When 3 destiny counters are on the, is there a way for you to get other destiny counters on this card? Besides removing.
For the purposes of this, I will say no.
So this is just like 3 turns and then you just win the game.
Correct. You're basically putting your opponent on a 3-turn clock. Yes.
God, I think it's garbage.
You didn't sound super confident though.
I'm sitting, I'm looking, I'm just rereading through the cards. You can't have any spell and trap cards in your zone, which is already not great.
Well, when you activate this effect, right?
Yeah, but like, I don't like that because then you're preemptively like you can't set up anything, right? I guess you could
sure you can.
do it after.
Yeah. Exactly. Or like hypothetically, right? You stick him, you have no spell and traps on the field, you detach to put a destiny counter on him, right? So now he's at 1. You set a back row or 2, and then during your opponent's turn, they start doing stuff. Maybe you activate your 2 back row to like stop them or whatever. Next turn, you have no back row again, right? So you can still play spells and traps. It's just when you use that effect, you can't have any.
That's fair. I just feel like, hold on, I'm trying to think of there's a Hearthstone card that's a good example of this.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Where it's like, it's so specific. I'm trying to think of, I can't think of the card. Oh my God, it's going to kill me. It's more just like, you have to play so narrow for this to be good.
Okay.
So you're right. You could make it so like you don't have any spell and trap cards at the time, right? But then let's say you want to hold the trap card that you've already placed, and then now you have to think about, do I want to use this or do I want to miss a turn? There's a good example of this is like there's a quest from Savers of Uldum for Druid, which says if you don't use all your mana, you progress through your quest by 1 turn. And then there's this game of like, yeah, I don't have to spend all my mana to progress my quest, but then I'm falling behind on tempo. Now, I don't know if it really translates 1-to-1 to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of just how the games are played.
Sure, I see
but
what
like,
you're saying,
if you don't match tempo, there like that could just falter to aggro. Like you just lose the game if you don't spend all your mana.
Okay.
So then it's like, do you want to do that? Yeah, you can, but like it could just lose the game. It's also matchup dependent, so you'd have to make a decision there. But I don't know how well that translates over to Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, because spells and trap cards seem like they're so good, but I guess if it's easy enough, then that's not really a problem for a card like this. Then you can detach 1 XYZ monster once per turn, so you do put your opponent on a 3-turn clock. You also can, I mean, you can if this dies, it's like whatever, like you just move on, I guess. Like this is no longer a win condition. Okay, so in reality, it's like, is this likely to live 3 turns?
That's a great question.
In a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, after all the shit I've seen,
technically it's 2, right? Because you can use it the turn you summon it. So it's like it already is going to have 1 destiny counter on it the turn you play it. So you really only have to have it survive 2 full turns if you think of it that way.
In a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, though, how likely are you to get that? I mean, you could 5-head it too. Okay, hold on. You go like Giga Brain here.
He's cooking.
You play this. You play this, and then you spy it to your, no, you can't. Hold on, because the spy's only for the turn, right? Fuck. Okay.
Oh my God. You're really trying to cook with that.
No, I think this. I can't do this. Like I can make like if there's no better win condition, sure. But like, there's no fucking way. There's nothing better you can be doing, and like your opponent has infinite removal at this point in time, right? So like, there's no way. There's no way this is living.
Final answer.
God, the way you said that makes me feel like I'm wrong. But yes, final answer.
Gimmick puppets were an absolute menace throughout Yu-Gi-Oh!
Really?
But that's because they had other support that gave them an actual FTK that was not this. You are correct. This card is not very good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Jesus.
Having this thing survive multiple turns, especially when you need to play the game of like balancing having back row versus not having back row if you want to put destiny counters on it, it's pretty difficult. I cannot think of any example competitively where this card was ever played, aside from like other reasons you would play it that I'm not going to get into, but you wouldn't play it for the effect, if that makes sense. There's like other things you can do with it. So yeah, cool card. Funny enough, I realized there's only like one printing or like 2 printings of this card when I was like picking out the cards for this. Didn't know that. So it's kind of an old card that has like very few printings, which is just like a random fact. But yeah, like not very good. Gimmick Puppet though, actually very recently at the time of recording, it's like within the past couple of years, they printed some insanely broken support for that deck. And it had an FTK, which could just kill the opponent on the first turn and not have to worry about this you win the duel bullshit. And then they got a bunch of cards hit on the ban list. And so now no one plays it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last but not least, this card has been highly requested to be shown to you. So I cannot wait to see your reaction to this one.
Oh, God. What is this? What kind of card is this? Oh, my God. What is that number? IC 1000?
Yep.
I think that's an I before the C, right?
Yep.
Numerornia?
Yep.
Is that how you say that?
Sure. Beats me.
Infinite fucking stars. What is this thing? We'll never know. 5 level 13 monsters. Holy shit. If this card is special summoned by the effect of number C1000 numerous, it gains 100,000 attack and defense during opponent's turn only. Also apply the following effects from the start of the next turn after this card was special summoned. Monsters your opponent controls must attack this card, if able. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this card did not battle, you win the duel. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate the attack, and if you do, gain life points equal to that monster's attack. I'm sorry, what the absolute fuck am I looking at here? How do you get this on the board?
Here,
Like, how do you
funny you should ask, Raren. Funny you should ask. Here you go.
Oh, great. There's another one. What the fuck is this? Wait, okay, so this one's the IC1000. This is just the C1000. Okay. This requires 5 level. Oh god. Are you about to show me like 20 cards in a row here just to get to the start on board?
No, just these two. Just these two.
Okay, 5 level 12 monsters. Once per turn, quick effect. You can detach 1 material from this card, destroy 1 other monster on the field. At the end of the battle phase, destroy as many other monsters on the field as possible, min 1. Then you can special summon 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard to your field in defense position. If this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, well, it has material. It's set to the graveyard. You can special summon the IC1000 from your extra deck, and if you do, attach this card as material. Okay, but like, how do you summon this card?
It says
like
5 level 12 monsters.
Oh, just have the 5 level 12
Yeah,
monsters.
just have the 5 level 12 monsters. What are you worried about?
Oh, you know, but actually though, like, how do you get 5 level 12 monsters?
That's Yu-Gi-Oh, baby. That's Yu-Gi-Oh, baby.
I literally do not know what the fuck.
This is Yu-Gi-Oh, my friend.
Okay, so I'm gonna base this on the fact that you can do this. I'm gonna just start with there. Okay. If you give me the review and say this card is not plausible in any situation because getting 5 level 12 monsters is this like impossible, I am literally ending the call. We'll go with the fact that this is possible.
Okay.
So in a world where you get IC1000.
Okay.
100,000 attack and defense means if any opponent monster swings in, like, unless like they have a very specific circumstance where they're immune or they have that much life, they are dead.
Okay.
So no matter what happens, if your opponent can't attack, they lose, and if they attack, they lose. That's pretty much it. I don't really know what you would want for like when your opponent's monster declares an attack. Like, why would I want to detach when I can just win the game? I don't really see it unless it's like if this monster deals damage to your opponent, they lose. I don't know, like something along those lines maybe, but I'm not really sure. I guess if they have a way to basically go around this, then you'd use that effect. I guess that's what it is. That's pretty good. Like, I mean, it's a win-win. You also have this huge guy on board that's a constant threat. I guess if your opponent can answer it though, you lose because you're probably putting your entire life into this. In other words, what I'm understanding is if you get through all the hoops, you win the game.
Sure.
Unless your opponent just has. There's no way this is played. Like, are you serious? What is this? Like, this is crazy shit, dude. What is this? Holy fuck.
It's very Yu-Gi-Oh. You have to give it that.
This is like, guys, you can win the game, or you can win the game so extravagantly that your opponent may like never talk to you ever again.
Yeah.
And, like, you're gonna feel great for that day.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that great?
But I mean, for you, for that one moment, if your entire life is this thing, then yes. I can't, like, I'm gonna go with probably not playable, but I mean, in reality, it's like if you get this thing on board, you probably win the game.
Okay.
Actually, I don't even know if that's the case. You could just remove it. Like, your opponent could go through all of this, and then you could just be like, yeah, so I'm just gonna remove the minion, and then you just lose.
Okay. Final answer.
So I'm gonna go with it's not good. Yeah, like I just feel like the fact that it doesn't have immune for the last guy. Like, I mean, hold on, let me read C1000 again. This is like insane. He doesn't get attacked though.
He gets 10,000 from the Chaos Ritual.
You could detach one or two, destroy one other monster. Like, that's good. You can kill something. The end phase, destroy as many monsters on the field as possible. I mean, that one actually seems good. Because like the one after is just like, yeah, you just win the game. Like, I mean, unless your opponent has any sort of like spell to deal with it. So I mean, maybe that one's actually playable. This one's tough, man. Because like I would have to see, like, is the deck playable? Is this too many steps? This seems like a lot of steps. Like you have to have everything on lock, and then you also have to think. It's also then that, like, you're just hoping your opponent doesn't play the game, because if they stop any one of these, like, you're just fucked. No, okay, there's no way. No, not playable.
Final answer.
Final answer.
What if I told you this is playable?
Oh my god. No way.
Is that crazy?
It actually would be crazy, but I'm gonna, like, what is is it actually that consistent that you can do it? That's what it comes down to for me.
The thing is, only part of what I'm showing you is actually playable. So funny enough,
There's more.
No, I'm not going to show you anything else. I'm going to give your brain a rest. So you're correct. This is like never happening. You were never doing this. I'm pretty sure this is from the anime, to be honest, which, you know, goes with your philosophy of everything from the anime is bad. I did not watch this part of the anime because this is like the newer stuff and I was not into it. So I can't say for sure. I'm sure people can lore dump in the comments. That's fine. However, Numeron Network and Numeron Calling were actually cards that did see play because they enable you to play this go second style of deck that basically what the cards do is that when you play all four of them, I'm not showing you them here, but let me actually pull one up for you just so you can see. Give me 1 sec. Because they all basically have the same effects. You only have to read one of them. Give this card a quick read here.
I just say, like, I'm very grateful that Hearthstone just does their effects the way they do. It's very, like, yeah, like the first time you read the box, it might just be like, what the fuck is that? What does that even mean? But you see it once and you're like, okay, I get what you're going for here. This is just holy shit. Number 1 Numeron Gate Ecam. Is that what?
Sure.
That's a K,
I don't
right?
fucking
Yeah,
know. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, cannot be 3 level 1 monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. At the end of your damage step, at the end of the damage step, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 material from this card, double the attack of all Numeron monsters you control currently until the end of turn.
So, with the Numeron Network, or excuse me, the Numeron Calling, you can see it's a special summon up to 4 Numeron Gate Exceeds monsters with different names from your extra deck. There are numbers 2, 3, and 4 that also are, they're different names, but they have almost this exact same effect where they double the attack of everything. So there's actually a going second OTK deck that uses this card where you go Numeron Calling, summon 4 of these guys, then you go to battle phase, you go attack with the first one. Doesn't matter, as long as your opponent has an open board or maybe like 1 card on the, or 1 monster on the field, you're gonna kill them. Because you attack with this one, it's gonna double the attack of the other, of all of them. So now they go up to 2,000. You attack with the second one, it doubles them again, so now the remaining 2 are 4,000 attack. You attack with the third one, and it doubles the attack again, so the final one has 8,000 attack, and by that point, you should just be able to kill your opponent because that last one has 8,000 attack.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that was actually a really cool just like going second deck that you could play, that if your opponent, like, let's say you like Harpy's Feather Duster them or just like clear their back row or whatever, you go Numeron Calling, summon the guys, attack, 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 you win the game. It's over in an instant, right? So pretty cool.
Okay.
But going through all the hoops with like Chaos Gate, Sunya, and Numeron Chaos Ritual, and I'm sure I messed something up with this combo, but it's just like, why would you go through all this effort? And it's like you said, the big payoff guide like just dies to like anything. Like it doesn't even have like protection. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so just very like grandiose anime style of card. It's funny because it says it gains 100,000 attack and defense, which is like absurd, obviously. So it's fun in that regard, but very this card has like never been played. I'll be totally honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
So as you've learned, alternate win conditions in Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe Sans Exodia and Final Countdown are not particularly good in our game. There's also plenty others I didn't even show you. Because I picked these because they were kind of like the most fun of the bunch. But what do you think?
My brain hurts. Cool game, man. love Yu-Gi-Oh.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout the patrons for all of their continued support. So shout outs to Shout1317, Tim00x3, MBT Play Medolce, Moto, Cameron L. Smith, The Synchro Guy, Pony Stark, Dan the Man Hoban, Little Fadeleaf, Draconic, Dylan Rare Hunter, JW11860, Flannel Daddy, literally all of the guinea pigs, Cheeks McLapperty, Stolfin Amethyst, MBT Cancel by all community soon, Cancel by all committee soon, Cancel by all players soon, Wonder Waffle, MBT and Nimnims, One Boxer Brief Fueled Night of Passion, Daniel Howell, Electrician of the Ice Barrier, Astro Random, Arco, and the Nova129. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and we will see you next time.